To be honest, a little bit embarrassed by the performance tonight, if I'm being frank. It's aspects of our game, fundamental aspects of our game that should be an automatic are not an automatic. If you can't go out and sort of match effort and willingness and work rate and organisation, and sort of pick up some of the soccer cues that we should be picking up, then and be able to run, you're going to struggle in this league. And I think it's been a story all this season that we're kind of a team that seems to be waiting about for something to happen, whereas all the other teams would play up, roll the sleeves up, and get out there and get on with it and make things happen. And it's difficult to rectify when there's so many players that really, frankly, haven't played up to what our expectations been of them. And that might be down to failure of me and how we've coached them, how we've set them up. I don't know, but it's just some of the fundamental things that we do or don't do are really coming back to haunt us. And an example of that is, we've played against Sam Kerr numerous times now. We talk about her not getting in behind, and she's probably going to get in behind your defence once or twice in a game if you're alert. But to get in 7, 8, 9 times is just stuff like that is just sort of it's unacceptable for the quality of players that we've got. So it's very, very disappointing. Disappointing for the fans because we've got a great set of fans. Disappointing because if anything that you want to see from a team, you want to see, I know it's an overused word probably, effort, but our effort just seems to be almost, when I say non-existent, very slow. And it's just made us look so vulnerable, and it's made us look like a very poor team. That's the thing. Now I've got to apologise to the fans that, as a coach, I put a team out there that on paper looks high quality, but has actually performed very poor, and that's down to me. So I apologise to them for how we've done, particularly tonight. So it's a really good question. That the top question we have to answer, and everybody has to look at, is what we do looking forward to next year. We can't have, as a club of a club of any status, to be honest, we can't have some of the performances that we've had this year, and that has to be rectified. Whether that's so that we can perhaps do that in several ways. One is that you change personnel. One is that the other is that you change your coaching philosophy. You change your training regime, and you do things differently to make the team effective. The difficult part I found this year is that when I look at our team compared to last year, as I said on many occasions, I think we've probably improved the quality of our team or our squad as a whole. But we haven't got close to matching the performances that we've had last year. And then, I need to scrutinise my performance, I need to scrutinise players' performances, and then we need to sit down and say, this is what we think we need going forward. We kind of got on a roll, but we've never, to be honest, we've never really got on a roll. So there's barely been a game this season where I felt we've been a dominant force, in a game where we've had what I'd call a complete performance. Whatever game we've played, there's been stages during the game, and every team has those stages during the game where you have lapses. The problem is that when we have lapses, we have lapses. And again, whether it's concentration, organisation, decision-making, lack of effort, waiting for somebody else to do your job for you, I really don't know. Probably a combination of all those things. And just when we felt that we had everybody back and that we were ready to go, we've almost gone the wrong way. One of the things I don't think that has helped us is that two things that I think have been perhaps responsible in a way is that when we've been dominating games, which we have done in several games, we haven't scored. And when we've been having times when we're not dominating games, we've conceded goals. And tonight's a great example of that. Tonight probably typified kind of the season as a whole, in the sense that we were kind of shaky in the first half, but we'd got over the shakiness. And, you know, as we were getting into the 40th minute, we were actually starting to come into the game and we were actually starting to get some play. And then all of a sudden, within a blink of an eye, we're 2-0 down. And it's hard to explain why that happened. So, apart from those factors that I said earlier, that's the only answers that I've got. It's extremely disappointing. I mean, it's more than disappointing. It's actually more than it's not just disappointing. Disappointing is when you go out and have an effort and get a bad result and things don't go for you. Disappointing was season 1 here when we, you know, were scraping to put a team together to come into the league and get out in games against teams that were well organised and stable and had teams, you know, had their team set, and we were fighting away and battling away, and quite often we'd end up losing the game by 2-1 or 1-0 or whatever. And at every one of those games, probably for the last 15 minutes, our players had a real go. But that's been bereft of the team for much of this season in a consistent basis. Whether we feel that we have too many star players, I don't know. Whether we need more what I'd call blue-collar players in the team, I don't know. Whether we've got the wrong combination of players that's just not working together, I don't know. But we're still having 8 or 9 of the same players from last year. So, yeah, it's as I say, it's more than disappointing. Much, much more than disappointing.